You are tuned in to Radio Dumpster, and I am your host, Nick Roth. Thank you for joining us. In today's episode, we will talk about the genesis of the show and what it's all about. If you think of a dumpster, all sorts of different things go in a dumpster, right? Most people just disregard a dumpster. Other people, like dumpster divers, dive right in. They want to find the hidden gem. That's what we're all about. Let's all get together. Let's dive into the dumpster. Let's talk about great content, entrepreneurs, high-performing people, and everything in between. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the show. This has been a journey. Here we are. Intro 00000. Show number 00001 will be coming soon. But today's goal is to talk about what the show actually is. Are we recording?
We're recording.
Perfect. That's my co-host, Wilson. Producer, Wilson. Shout out, Wilson. Let me explain briefly how I found Wilson. So, I needed a 9-foot table or greater because the room is just so long. So I could not find anything other than a 6-foot table. And I searched for weeks, and I finally found this table, and it was on Marketplace, and he responded, and we met up, and I'm out of money, not running out. I'm out of money. Told him about the show, and we ended up working out a trade. How's that going, by the way? Did you sell any of that stuff? We ended up trading Tradesy for my stuff for the table.
So life's been so busy, I haven't even revisited it.
Yeah. I think if you sell each one of those dolls, you might be able to get like $20 a piece.
That sounds about right.
I mean, how many? There's, 100 dolls?
That seems about right, too.
Yeah. So that's, $2,000 in just the dolls. Then there was vinyl records. What else was there?
Vinyl records we're probably going to end up keeping.
Yeah.
But I think there was like silverware. There was...
that was right. You talked me into that.
Yeah.
No. So towards the end of the negotiations, I was like, hey, man, will you trade straight up? But there was a box of silverware, actual silverware, proven authenticity card was in the box. And I said, you could have everything but that. And we couldn't, come to terms. He said, nah, I want it all. Then you could have the table. And I said, well, hey, we got to talking about the show, and he said he had interest in helping out. And I said, well, if you help me out with show number 1, I'll throw in the silverware. How about that? So it was a good trade all around. It just was dumb fate that I found him. And I wouldn't say dumb fate, but it was just everything has been lining up organically for the show in my personal life, relationships. The vibe has just been really good, so I've been rolling with it. It's been a tremendous amount of work to get to this point, but we hope to have show 0001 with a guest and rinse repeat. I want to have as many guests as possible and veer away from my identity of Nick the Landscaper, and it's not to say that I'm stepping away from my business, but I'm very fortunate to have good people that are at our team that allows me to do projects like this. And but I want the show to be focused on all these relationships that I have formed over the last 20 years. All these clients that own other businesses, and just the journey's been incredible. The one thing I could say I truly value in entrepreneurship is really the connections that you make during the journey, and you'll never forget the people that helped you. And there's a few that have screwed you along the way, but I put a high value on relationships, and I think every single one of them that I'll have on the show, small business owners, whether they are accountant, a lawyer, own a bakery shop, own a gym, whatever it may be. We all share a similar passion, and that's for really trying to carve out our own path. And everybody's got a great story that where it started and where you're at, where it's going. So that's kind of like anything can fit in a dumpster, right?
Yeah.
Let's all kind of get together. Let's dive in. That's the show concept. I do want it kind of generally speaking, like gender neutral. I don't want it so much construction, tractors. I do want a healthy mix of, having a yoga instructor in here that talks about life, happiness, balance, and how she started her business, or he, I want this show to do well in all target audience. I just don't want to be so much macho show and shoot myself in the foot, so to speak. But that is the general concept. Radio Dumpster. It's a play on words. My niece actually came up with it. So it's end of January. We're around Christmas. We're just thinking about, what should the show be called? And she caught up on, what we were talking about and what the show should be. Name the Nick's Landscaping Podcast. I'm like, no, I don't. I want to get away from, my day-to-day job. This space right here is for me to come in and melt away from my day job. Like, I don't want to have it related. I'm sure we'll have some guests here for sure that are related to my industry and stuff, gardeners and different business owners that own it. But again, the goal is to kind of set my path here in life as known as Nick Roth, not so much Nick the Landscaper. And the two words radio kept coming up, radio this, radio that. And then the 5-year-old came in and, just wanted to play. And I think she was like wanting to hop on my lap or something. She's like, Radio Dumpster. And we all kind of paused around, all the adults in the room, and looked at each other and we're like, that actually is really good. Like, I could go somewhere. So there it is. Radio Dumpster. Relationships, business, life. This is the intro show, so we didn't really have anything scripted.
I've got a couple of questions, though.
Go ahead, Wilson.
The question that interested me most was you're talking about these connections that you have and the importance of networking. And you've obviously been successful in business, relationships, networking, whatnot. Number one was, what was the first connection that you made in your business that you felt transcended your business and kind of opened your horizons up?
It's hard to pinpoint one. Okay. I would say college in general. The first year I was partying, didn't really take it serious. I was in the wrong career path. But once I got with a counselor year number 2 and started making more close friends and found my way, like the connections I made in college, especially like Dr. Finkel, I could remember, he was a big influencer on small business and entrepreneurship. I minored in entrepreneurship and my major was business and organizational communication. So shout out University of Akron. But yeah, man, some of the best connections I made were in college, and college is not for everybody. I get that. It did work out well for me. I think it's really solidified my decision on continuing this as a career path after college was, because I went to job fairs and I saw the struggles that people were finding after they did graduate to find a decent job that paid well. And I was out hustling all of them during college. Like, my business was just growing every year. Even in college, I started hiring friends and going that route. So it was a pretty easy decision based on the connections I made. Emmett Green being one of them. He's one of my best friends. He was in my entrepreneur class, and God, the dude owns like 9 Subways, 43 house rentals. I'm sure he's going to watch this and correct me, but I always talk about him, and he owns an Amazon transportation company. His drive and passion all came from the same group of friends that we connected with in our entrepreneur class. Melanie with the Farmer's Rail, she was in my class. She's blowing up, doing great. 3 stores, working on a 4th. Eye Catching Coral. He's doing fantastic. There's a lot of small businesses that were created from that class in college. I think that I answered your question. What was the question?
So
I gotta get better about narrowing this down because I feel like this was supposed to be like a 20-minute show intro, and now we're like
so you did answer the question, and you answered it from the jump that, there wasn't really one specific relationship that opened up your horizons. It was multiple. And that's good to know. So following that up, what did you find? These are like 20-year relationships. Am I right?
Up till now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
for sure. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Because I'm only 37.
So how have you fostered those relationships and really, kept them going? Like,
you definitely lose track of some people for sure. It's just like high school, but as far as like my college colleagues, Facebook has been a good way to keep tabs on people. I was fortunate enough, Emmett moved to Copley where I live. So we reconnected. There was a couple years there we didn't talk at all because we just got busy with life. And that's so easy to happen. But as far as like my customers, we have customers that we've had for 20 years.
Wow.
Like I just can't get rid of them. Like there's some that, and I say that in the nicest way, like our business is more going towards the commercial end of things, and I'm trying to veer away from so much residential, but how do you say no to like somebody that's treated you so well for that many years? They're like family. And, like I say in business, like number one, if you've returned a phone call, you've already beat half the competition. Mm-hmm. Number 2, kill them with service, treat them fairly, and just grind quietly. You don't need to overcharge. Just make sure you're making enough money to not lose money, and the money will come. Of course, it's going to be a stressors, and there's material shortages in every industry right now. There's fuel spikes, the economy. You don't know. You just gotta listen. I've been through 2008, where we didn't know what was going to happen. I've been through COVID, which I didn't know if I was going to have a job, and I purchased a $250,000 truck mid-COVID. Like the largest purchase of my life.
Wow.
But sometimes you just have to put your balls on the table and say, I believe in myself, and the rest will come. Like this podcast, this stupid podcast show. I got so much, not so much criticism, but like so much worry from immediate friends and family, I should say. Some were cheering me along. Most were cheering me along. But in anything you do, you're going to have haters. You're going to have people that either hate on it or they worry way too much. Like, so, I'm a risk taker, right?
So how'd you overcome the haters?
I listened to myself, because it was like something I wanted to do. Things were happening organically. Things were just, sometimes you just got to go with your gut and the vibe. You know, if you're vibing on it, or if you have a weird feeling, you know, trust what's in here. Also do a ton of research. Anything I do, whether it be the boots I buy or the toothpaste that I, you know, use, I research everything.
Yeah.
So, and my real good friend, you'll pop up a little screen here, Made to Motivate podcast, Ryan Weiss, started podcasting as a hobby. I think he said 4 years ago, which is crazy to think that it's been 4 years, but he just did it, man. And, it's life-changing. Like it's a great way to connect, with different people and be an outlet for thousands upon tens of thousands of listeners, which I think is cool. Like,
Yeah.
I have so much to talk about. Like, this show intro is not even like scratching the level of what we're going to get into. There is some very, very interesting people that are going to come on the show, have already confirmed coming on the show. And all I got to say is stay tuned, because it is going to be fun. It's going to be very interesting who we get on here.
What is one of the things you're most passionate about regarding, you know, Radio Dumpster, your podcast project?
Oh, man. My biggest fear, number one, is to lose interest, because I'm so interested in it right now. Like, I fear that I'm going to put all this work into this, and then it just like, I don't want it to be a flavor of the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people start projects and never finish them. I really want this to do well. This goes deeper than just a podcast. This is Nick Roth really trying to identify himself as who he is as a person.
Yeah.
And using this as a platform and an outlet to talk about the three things we have up there, which is the relationship, business, life. Like, man, I feel like there's so much potential.
Yeah.
That I have been harboring in, that not only my experiences in business, but in life. Like,
Yeah.
I have so much to talk about. And naturally, honestly, I'm kind of a shy guy normally.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem being by myself. Live by myself and can go a whole day or two without talking to anybody. But, you know, there are certain times where you can't shut me up, and that's a good thing. And there's this is an outlet. So hopefully I answered that question. What was the question again?
So the question was, and I feel like it was answered. The question was, what's one of the things you're most passionate about with the podcast?
Okay, yeah.
Admittedly, that felt like a deep dive segue. I wish I had a violin I could have started playing or something like that.
No, for real, dude. Like, you've been working with me for, when did we meet?
So we met probably January 3rd, 4th, something like that.
Like, doesn't it seem like a lot longer than that?
It does.
Like, it's what, January 30th right now?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been putting a lot of pressure on Wilson, because we've had some, like, it's been moving quickly, but I feel like there's been some laws there, as in reprieves, where we are on like cloud nine when we meet at like a coffee shop. We did like a Saturday. I met his wife at a grocery store, but it was like a higher end grocery store that has like a loft, like a study loft. It was very cool. Wasn't that a cool place?
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah. So like, we just like sat there and talked the vision of the show, and for sure I've put a lot of pressure on Wilson to, you know, just push to get this thing going and off the ground, rinse, repeat. I want to get a good couple shows underneath our belt, but not give up and hold ourselves accountable for you know, putting out shows, because I know what's going to happen in the spring, bro. Like, I'll be busy as hell, but I got to have somebody in here that's holding me accountable to provide the content and really keep focused on our end goal. Man, so many business owners get so settled in their business and they hit a wall. Like, you just know they're okay where they're at. They've got four to six employees, whatever. And they're cool. They settle. And if I would have asked them that like years ago when they first started, they had a vision of growing. And it's like the first million, right? Like, everybody says when you first make your first million, it's like the hardest thing you'll ever do. But when you first make your first million, after you get past that hump, you're just in a different mindset after that. And then like 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, multi-million, it doesn't matter after that. But there's most all small businesses are $1 million and under. And, you know, I by no means, I want to listen to this intro show like 5-10 years from now and just like reminisce on like where it started in a freaking basement. Like, and this thing is going to do great, man.
Sky's the limit.
It's seriously like, Wilson and I have been like kind of feuding the last couple of days, or wouldn't say, but it's just because I'm so like adamant about starting it. But Wilson and I have connected on another level that I have not connected in a very long time with another human being. Like, just the way we found each other through the marketplace and the conversations that we vibed with. Like, I really want this to work with Wilson and I. And his wife is going to be involved too, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
We're excited.
But you know, it's so easy to lose that excitement. And it's all about who you surround yourself with, I feel like. Like, it's how your day is going and who holds you accountable. And, you know, you get in these ruts and you get into some toxic relationships and life throws curveballs at you, but you've got to have people around you that push you, you know. It's just like having a good workout partner, you know, like you got to have somebody that constantly pushes you, and you're going to probably hate that person at one point, but for sure. Like, not probably, you will. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, if I ever go like this, that means like an important like point is coming. Like, at the end of the day, like, you've got to have somebody in your corner that is fighting for you and that wants to push you to your absolute limit. And there's so many people I know out there that haven't even scratched the surface of their potential. And it's kind of sad watching some of it, but I'm focusing on me. This show is definitely an outlet for me. It's an outlet for, you know, I'm 37. I'm at a point where I'm like, people need to know who I am. And I'm carving out an identity with this show that is no other. And that's about it. I don't know what else there is really to talk about on the intro show, but
I mean, I feel like we've, you know, covered some good things. Definitely got a feel for the passion that's driving the show.
for sure.
You know, we've overcome a lot of hurdles, you know, getting to this point, like you talked about.
And it hasn't even been a month.
It hasn't even been.
I know,
month.
but
It's more like,
you know
you know,
how I want to get this.
100%.
Have I been okay to work with?
Man, you've been great.
Okay.
You've been great. You know, it's cool. You know, the things you've talked about, number one, kind of hint at it. You're a mover, you're a shaker, man. You're used to getting things done. So I think this project was a little bit more than either of us estimated it would be getting to this point.
Right.
But I feel like we're at the first million point. You know, I feel like $1 million right now. Studio looks great, sounds great, and I can't wait to get some guests in here. looking at it, especially from the observation window, looks sweet. I know guests are going to love it. This is great.
Yeah, it's for sure going to be an experience. Like when you come down here, like, what are you doing tonight? I got this podcast thing with this Nick dude, and he's got something in his basement. They're going to be all kind of weird about a lot of business owners, vice presidents, presidents of companies. They haven't done this. Okay. I know it's 2023, right?
Yeah.
Podcast is not the first that this has come around, but it's trending that like people are like doing it on their own and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when people come to my house and we're going to have a red carpet picture taking area, who the hell does that? First off. Yeah. And we're going to have a gift bag for each like guest that comes, like merch and stuff like that. But it's really the experience of getting, I'm going to go back to Bob the Baker, the guy I made up, Bob the Baker, to do something different for himself, right? Because everybody knows Bob the Baker as he owns a bakery. No one knows who Bob is, where he came from, his struggles in life. He's got it. His successes, where he started. Really, we're not even here to talk about bakery. We're here to talk about Bob and get to know Bob. And he's going to leave this studio, I promise you, like, number one, what did we even talk about? Like, the goal is to get entrepreneurs on here and to not talk about their business.
That's different.
But everybody knows kind of who they are.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Give them a little segue, a little introduction and whatnot.
Yeah, but it's not to be like information dump. Like, this is who we are. These are our price point. Like, it's to get to know everybody's story. I'm so interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be at a resort across the country, and I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic. If you're like sitting at me in the hot tub and there's that awkward silence for like 10, 15 minutes, I'm probably going to be one that initiates the conversation. Like,
that's a long, awkward silence.
Yeah. Like, who are you? Hey, hi. What's your name? What do you do for a living? What's your schedule like? Do you work Monday through Friday? Is it 8 to 5? That's just something I'm always curious about because I've never had like a real job. I've never had a corporate job. I've been doing this since high school. So my curiosity on like, what's people's schedules like? What are they?
What's normal life like? How do you guys live that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
really is an anomaly. You not having.
It's always a conversation starter for me. Yeah. Like if you've never met me, like I'm always interested on what's your day like?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, just interested in that. And that's kind of the genesis of the show is getting to know people's story. Radio Dumpster, let's dive in. By Nick Roth.
ASMR. So, hey, is that it? Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap, man. I appreciate you so much. You have reached the end of the show. Thank you for tuning in. If we provided motivational content for you, please donate $1 or more via Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, all at Radio Dumpster. Until next time, thank you.